Tom Brady did get afforded the luxury, especially in his prime, in the early prime years, of you're not asking you to carry the team. Belichick's going to come up with an unbelievable defensive game plan. We're going to run the ball and be physical, and then we just need you to be clutch at the end of the football game and do that, right?
7 rings, 3 MVPs, more playoff wins than some franchises have playoff appearances, period. And Chris Sims looked at all that hardware and basically said, cool story, but no. That's not a hot take, dog. That's declaring war on an entire fan base's religion.
Brady was afforded luxuries of the greatest pass protection of any quarterback of all time. That's not me. Those are any analytics site you look at. The most open receivers in the history of the game. The greatest defensive coordinator ever in the history of the game.
He didn't walk it back, didn't soften it up for a bigger stage either. Days after the internet tried to run him off the internet completely, Sims sits down across from Dan Patrick and doubles the bet like it's 4th and 1 and he's going for it.
I didn't think we would be yelling at each other in July.
That's Dan Patrick, a guy who's been doing sports radio since before some of these quarterbacks were born, basically admitting the temperature in that room got away from both of them. In July, during the deadest bout of the NFL calendar, when the biggest news most weeks is somebody's OTA jersey number, over a list. Here's the whole play-by-play, and trust me, it's messier than a dead summer take has any business being. Back in June, Sims drops his usual greatest quarterbacks ever list, the one that grades the whole career, the rings, the counting stats, the longevity, the whole resume. Brady's number 1 on that one, same as he is on literally every list on planet Earth, chalk. Nobody bats an eye. But then Sims goes back to NBC and says he wants to run it back a different way. Not who had the best career, who was the best quarterback for a 6, 7, 8-year stretch, stripped all the way down to just their peak. No scheme, no system, no supporting cast, just the man, alone in the pocket, at his absolute nastiest. And that's when things got messy for New England's guy. And look, this ain't even Sims' first rodeo with Brady. Rewind far enough and you'll find him getting cooked on Boston radio for saying Brady wasn't a top 5 quarterback anymore at age 39, backing it up with some deep-cut argument about Andrew Luck not having a Jonas Gray to lean on. You'll find him losing a bracket-style worst take madness tournament on a Boston sports station, getting torched for 79% of the vote in the finals, all for saying Brady wasn't as talented as Ryan Tannehill or Justin Herbert. Sims has been running this same play for over a decade now, and every single time the reaction's identical. Outrage, disbelief, somebody demanding his broadcasting card get revoked. And every single time, Sims shrugs it off, doubles down, and moves on to the next take like nothing happened. At some point, that stops looking like trolling for clicks and starts to feel like a guy with a genuine football philosophy that just so happens to keep landing on the same conclusion about the same dude.
I think Peyton Manning was about as unstoppable force as I've seen.
Peyton Manning, number 1. Patrick Mahomes at 2. Aaron Rodgers at 3. Then Elway, then Favre. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, both still active, both still writing their own story, both jump Brady on this list too. And Brady, the guy with more rings than fingers on one hand, gets wedged in at 9, one measly spot above Roger Staubach, a dude who last suited up during the Ford administration. Naturally, the internet lost its whole mind. Malpractice. Shameful. One account said the take alone should get Sims banned from ever talking football again for the rest of his natural life. Somebody else asked, paraphrasing here, what exactly did Tom Brady personally do to this man to deserve this? And it's not just Brady catching strays here. Dan Marino, a guy who never even sniffed a Super Bowl ring but completely rewrote what a passing offense could look like back in the 80s, bumps Brady clean out of the top 8. John Elway, a quarterback who could look downright brutal for 3 quarters and then somehow steal the whole game in the final 6 minutes, lands at 4, 5 full spots ahead of Brady. Sims even copped to thinking about ranking Elway even higher than that, because in his prime, quote, he was the first guy I ever saw as a kid who could take over a broken game out of absolute nowhere.
My issue with it is, in your prime, I want to factor in the playoffs. And Peyton Manning would not be number 1 on that list.
Right.
Even Dan Patrick, sitting right across from the guy on his own show, wasn't buying the whole thing wholesale. And that's the real tell here. This isn't some troll farming engagement for the algorithm. This is a former quarterback who watched football at the highest level for a living, going bar for bar with a guy who's covered the league for 3 decades, and neither one of them is getting an inch. And here's the part that gets buried under all the outrage. Sims isn't out here just cooking on Brady for sport. Go listen to how he talks about the guy everybody in football already agrees on.
It's unanimous.
Right.
There's nobody in the NFL that doesn't think Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the league. I mean, nobody.
That's not the voice of a guy chasing clicks. That's a guy who'll hand out the flowers just as fast as he hands out the disrespect, depending purely on what the tape shows him. Which brings us to the actual argument buried under all this outrage: roster context, and who's really doing the heavy lifting on Sundays.
Josh Allen's on the Rams. Matthew Stafford's afforded luxuries that some of these quarterbacks in the top 10 are not. I'm sorry.
That's the entire Brady argument in one sentence, just pointed at a different quarterback. Slot an elite passer into a stacked roster with a Hall of Fame coaching staff, and the numbers stop measuring the player and start measuring the whole machine around him. Sims isn't saying Brady's washed or overrated in some vacuum. He's saying the machine around Brady, prime years Belichick calling the shots, prime years Randy Moss and Wes Welker running free, a defense that could bail him out on a rough Sunday, was the single greatest machine anybody's ever built in this league. And once you pull the driver out of that car, the ranking gets a lot more uncomfortable for Patriots fans than they'd like to admit. This is where the story stops being about one dude's opinion and starts being about how we actually measure greatness in this sport, period. Because Sims doesn't run these lists just to run his mouth. He votes. He evaluates game tape for a living. His whole job is to be right more than he's wrong.
I was a big voter in saying he was the MVP. That does not mean he's the best player. There's a difference there. Some years it matches up.
He's talking about Matthew Stafford there, not Brady. But it's the same knife, just pointed at a different throat. Winning hardware and actually being the best player at the position are two completely different questions. And most fans, most media guys, honestly most front offices too, mash them into one because it's just easier. Sims won't do it, and that's exactly why this list blew up the way it did. It's not that people disagree with the order, dog. It's that separating great player from great situation forces everybody to admit their favorite quarterback's greatness was never quite as much of a solo mission as the highlight reels made it look. And this ain't a one-off habit for the guy either. Days after the in-prime list dropped, he sat down with a completely different board, the NFL's own consensus list from over 70 execs, coaches, and scouts, and picked it apart with the exact same scalpel. That list had Matthew Stafford at 3, ahead of Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, riding the wave off last year's MVP season. Sims wasn't buying that one either, arguing Stafford's numbers came out of a roster stacked deep enough to make almost any veteran quarterback look like an MVP candidate, the exact same argument he threw at Brady. He'd take Baker Mayfield over Jared Goff, a name that didn't even sniff that list's top 10. He'd rank Caleb Williams higher than the whole room of scouts did, betting on upside over polish every single time. Say what you want about the man, but he's relentlessly consistent about the one thing that actually drives every single one of these rankings. Strip the roster away, strip the coaching staff away, and tell him what's left standing when it's just the quarterback and the football. Now zoom all the way out, because the fallout here isn't just Brady's ego or Patriots Twitter having a rough week. This is dropping the same summer the whole quarterback landscape is shifting under everybody's cleats. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, guys who weren't even in the league for most of Brady's championship runs, are getting placed above him in prime conversations by name on national television with a straight face. That's not really a shot at Brady's legacy, so much as it's the league quietly admitting the position itself has evolved past what even the GOAT could physically pull off. Brady never ran up bootleg in New England in his life. Didn't need to, he had the system. But the guys getting stacked around him now can beat you standing tall in the pocket and then beat you again with their legs on the very next drive. And that dual threat versatility is starting to outweigh even 7 rings when these lists get built. And this whole ranking fight is landing right as a fresh wave of quarterback battles kicks off across the league, which is exactly why Sims keeps getting dragged back into this conversation every single week this month. Down in Cleveland, Shadir Sanders and Deshaun Watson are scrapping for the starting job, with a real question mark hanging over Watson's health after 2 years on the shelf. Out in Vegas, the Raiders keep publicly insisting Kirk Cousins is the guy, while rookie Fernando Mendoza sits one hot preseason away from making that promise look real foolish. Up in Minnesota, Kyler Murray and JJ McCarthy are reportedly locked in a dogfight that might not get settled until the very last practice of camp. Every single one of those battles is running the exact same argument Sims just had about Brady, just compressed into a few weeks instead of 2 decades. How much of what we're about to watch is actually the quarterback, and how much of it is the team lined up behind him?
So much nuance to this. It's why I love it. I just hope I don't get too much hate on the internet.
He knew. Before a single comment section lit up, before shameful and malpractice started trending next to his name, Sims already knew exactly what he was walking into. Said it out loud, laughed it off, and posted the list anyway. That's not recklessness. That's a guy who's been in this business long enough to know the difference between a take that's actually wrong and a take that's just inconvenient for people who don't want to separate the quarterback from the roster he got handed. So here's where this actually leaves us heading into a season where Brady's not even playing anymore. He's just a broadcaster now, arguably the loudest voice in football media, and the guy who ranked him 9th cashes a check from the same network. Awkward doesn't even begin to cover it, dog. Every single time these two cross paths on NBC programming for the next 20 years, there's a "he ranked you 9th" elephant sitting in whatever room they're standing in. And that's the real ending here, not some clean, tidy bow. Chris Sims didn't just rank a quarterback. He picked a fight with the entire way this sport talks about greatness, using the most beloved player of the last 30 years as his test case. He's not walking it back. The list isn't changing. And somewhere down in Tampa or Foxborough or wherever Brady's building his broadcasting empire these days, the greatest quarterback of all time is sitting at number 9 on somebody's board. And there's not one single thing 7 rings can do about it.